Today I wanted to talk about something that I think is really important that a lot of times is unaddressed, and that is taking a look at SEO, search engine optimization, and demystifying the process. I was speaking to someone recently, just in the past week, and kind of broke down SEO in a nutshell. Now obviously SEO, there's a lot to it. It's a very complex topic, but the whole idea is optimizing your website so that you show up in Google search or Yahoo or Bing search, somewhere in the search engines, you're easily found to get traffic and visitors to your website. So again, there is an entire industry built around SEO. I'm not claiming to give you everything here, but I just want to give you a little bit, enough knowledge so that you can do a lot more with your site and perhaps even working with an SEO agency. So the first thing is that I think you need to be aware that I like to make the analogy between SEO, consultants and agencies and all that, and mechanics. So if you're driving a car and you know nothing about that car aside from the fact that it's four wheels and it gets you from place A to place B, great until your car breaks down and you have to take it in to a mechanic shop. Now if you deal with an unethical mechanic, which we hope doesn't happen, but if that happens and they're aware that you have no idea how that car works, well then they may charge you for a bunch of things that you may not need. They may make up different car parts and hit you with the bill for that. So SEO in a lot of ways is similar to that. At least that's how I see it, and a lot of people that I work with kind of feel the way as well. So I wanted to talk about the basics of SEO, what you need to know, just enough so you can understand how it functions and how you can improve your SEO where you show up in search. There's basically two things that the search engines look at. Now the important piece is that the search engines will actually index your website, taking a look at taking inventory essentially as far as what's at your web page. I like to make the analogy here as to good old-fashioned card catalog, if you're old enough to recall that, at the library. So when a new book comes into the library, the librarians and the staff take a look and they kind of enter it into their system and they create a card so that if someone's to search and look for a particular book, they can actually scan through that card catalog, find that the book does exist, and then you go find the book. Okay, so that's the old-fashioned way of doing it. For those of you who don't remember that, I'm sorry if I just confused you. But anyway, the whole idea is that Google needs to maintain an index of what websites exist out there on the internet. It's a big task to do. So they're always constantly doing this. The results are always changing because new content is always showing up. They're looking at two different types of factors. The one we're going to call OnPage Factors. The other is OffPage Factors. Now, OnPage Factors are simply things on your website that you can change, modify, and optimize so that Google finds your page a little bit easier, and they also are able to make sense of your site so that it shows up better in search for the terms that you want to optimize it for. So on-page factor include things like keywords. They show up throughout your page just as phrases that are used on the different pages of your website. There are things called meta tags, and the meta tags are basically content that your visitors don't see, more behind the scenes, a description and keywords to tell the search engine what the web page is about. The goal of the search engine is to deliver the most relevant and best results to the user. So they're going to take this information that they're getting and try to provide the best and most relevant results when someone's making a search, performing a search. So those meta tags, those keywords that are entered onto the page, those matter. Those are important. In addition to that, your title of your web page. So if you look at the top of the browser, usually there's a description of that page all the way at the top of your browser, and that is something that you can change. So you can optimize that for the keywords that you're trying to get found for. In addition to that, there are things that you can do with, let's say, images. You can put actually an alt tag. So what that is, it's basically a keyword related to your image. So what is that image about? Adding little things like that. There's many different places you can put kind of descriptors on different elements of your web page that will help the search engines understand what your site is about. Also, your URL, so your web address, www.yourwebsite.com, if there's a keyword in there, if you do plumbing, or you're an attorney, or you're some type of, I don't know, landscaping, whatever it might be, whatever your business model is, if there's keywords related to your business in your actual web address, that's a good thing, because that helps. Again, it's another element where Google can look, or any search engine can look and say, okay, there's keywords that are relevant in the URL, there's keywords that are relevant on the page, there's keywords here in the meta tags, the kind of behind the scenes stuff, and they're all consistent. They're all telling the same story. So if that makes sense, that's just a really basic way to optimize your on-page search engine optimization factors. So on-page is one, so what you put on your web page. The second piece is your off-page factors. So the off-page SEO factors are things, basically the way to look at this is, what is the rest of the internet saying about your website? The two biggest and most relevant and important factors are, one, backlinks. And what backlinks are other websites that are putting a link on their website to your site. Now, the search engines look at this kind of as a vote or a referral or a recommendation. Because if I run a website and I'm a webmaster, I probably don't want to place links on my site to a bunch of bad sites, sites with bad information or not useful or whatever the case is. I probably only want to put links to resources that are useful, that are helpful to my visitors to improve my visitors' experience. So for that reason, links are really important. And if we go back a couple of years, links were one of the most important things, those backlinks from other sites that the search engines looked at. But there's another player in town, that the importance of social. So we call these social signals, and I'll identify these in a second and go in a little more depth, actually in a coming video on this topic. But it's basically, what are people saying in the social sphere? What are people saying on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Google+, on Pinterest, on all these social sites? What are they saying about your website there? And the reason this is important is because that's where people spend more time than anywhere else on the web. So if people are talking about your website in social spaces, that matters and that's important. And the search engines recognize that. And so you do want to get your links out into the social sphere and if people talk about your website. So that, in a nutshell, is kind of SEO at a glance. So what matters is what's on your page, on your website, in addition to what the rest of the internet is saying about your website. So how many and what type of sites are linking to your website, and who's talking and how many people are talking about your site in the social sphere. So at Facebook and Twitter and all those other places. Again, hopefully that helps give you, kind of that 101 education on search engine optimization and take some of the mystification out of it. We want to make sure that you understand that this is something that you can work on to improve your site and improve your rankings. And it's not rocket science. So hopefully that helps.